Hello, and welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast. My name is Katy Stoll.
That's what they say. Hi, I'm Cody Johnston.
That's what they say. Very excited to welcome back journalist and author whose newest book is called Fight to Win Heroes of American Labor, the Young Readers edition of Fight Like Hell, Kim Kelly.
Hello. Hi. Can people see me?
Yes.
Or is it just audio?
Unless
Really?
you don't want them to.
Oh yeah, it's a video
fine.
podcast as well now.
Oh, it's fine. I put on lip gloss. We're good. Hello.
Great.
I should have brought I got a copy somewhere in my house, but the book does exist. It's out there. You can buy it.
Well, what we're going to do is throw an image of it up on the screen.
The magic of editing.
Oh, who's that other voice I hear? Jonathan's also here.
Hi.
There would be chaos in the streets if ever there comes a day where Jonathan is not here.
The president would have to tweet about it. It would be miserable.
If Jonathan's ever not here, it's Trump's fault. I can tell you that right now.
Hopefully I'm not in El
that.
Salvador. I'm somewhere else.
Kim, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. The listeners didn't get to hear all the unhinged pre-show chat. There was a coyote involved.
Kim, what stories are you working on these days? What's the latest in working class union news?
Well, today I am, once we hang up, I have to finish up this story for In These Times, my main little writing home, about how the Trump administration continues to fuck over coal miners who are kind of the only group of workers he really pretends to like on any sort of regular basis. And yet his administration is making it so much easier for them to die from black lung. Life-saving regulatory situation, like a rule that would have made it so coal miners underground are exposed to less incredibly toxic silica dust. It's something which is a primary factor driving the black lung crisis among younger miners. Folks have been pushing for this regulation for decades. We knew about the problem with silica back in 1974. They finally got a rule through all of the Byzantine sort of red tape architecture that is the regulatory world of the U.S. government, and they're so close to getting implemented. And then it didn't get through because a bunch of industry, like basically coal bosses, sued or were like, we don't want to do this. And they just kind of keep being able to kick the can down the road. So I'm going to write a little thing about, like, because Trump's war on workers is such a bigger, wide-ranging situation that we're seeing, from the gutting of labor laws and the NLRB RIP situation and this anti-regulatory agenda and that creepy lady who was supposed to be kind of chill but turned out to be another regular demon, Secretary of Labor Laurie Chavez Damer, was just recorded in a meeting the other day doing the most like North Korea style dear leader ass licking I've seen in a minute. It's not good. It's not good. Labor Day's coming up. Labor Day's fake. It's a heck of a time to be a labor reporter, but you know, we do our best.
And you've been on this specific story for a long time, I feel.
Yeah, and sometimes people listen to me, but not really. It is interesting that coal miners are such a specific population of workers to focus on in this country. There's so many complexities and like social, political, and economic and environmental. There's so much stuff that kind of surrounds them as workers and as people. And no, they don't get a lot of empathy, I find, because of all those complexities. And I have a chip on my shoulder. I would like that whole underdog vibe is something I identify with a lot. And I also spent a ton of time getting to know coal miners in Alabama and Appalachia. So I get personally like angry when people are making it easier for them to be killed at work. I don't know. It's just me, a little quirk.
Do you see a lot of like awareness, sort of like complaints about this sort of adversarial relationship that Trump has with a lot of coal miners and folks? Because I know, you know, there's that sort of tension between the sort of like right-wing, like conservative, like stereotype culture war stuff when Trump is, like you're saying, like terrible for workers across the board. Does that sort of break through? Do you see, or like a sort of affect a lot of folks' sort of opinion or approach to these kind of negotiations? And
I think it's all so individualized and specific. Like the UMWA, the Coal Miners Union, they don't really pull punches. They try. It's interesting because their leadership, and I know they're not listening, so I can say this, are a lot more forward-thinking and progressive than a lot of the membership, because the membership is predominantly retirees, because the coal industry has been so decimated. So it's interesting seeing them kind of toe that line. But in terms of the general Trump bad for workers, why workers vote for Trump sort of dichotomy that we keep seeing dissected to death by people with like fancy degrees and nice houses, it's like, I think a lot of the information that perhaps we have because we're giant nerds who read the news very closely and have access to broader news sources, things that seem very simple, very basic, very obvious to someone like me or someone like you, that we have that free time, right? Our political biases are such that we are open to listening to experts, to people that study things, to sources of news that might make us sad, but don't make us like challenge our worldview in a way that is upsetting. Like we're not going to Breitbart or Daily Wire or Fox News for our like labor coverage, but not everyone's like that. And the lack of like media literacy and like just access to actual news and actual facts and actual just reality in this country is not equally distributed.
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, Labor Secretary, that cabinet meeting.
If you all haven't stopped by the Department of Labor, Mr. President, I invite you to see your big, beautiful face on a banner in front of the Department of Labor, because you are really the transformational president of the American worker.
So you're going to see that. You're going to see that on the news, and then you're like, okay, well, that's what they said.
Yeah, and there's such little, like, they're not having labor reporters or labor historians on Fox News. They're also not having us on CNN or whatever. Like, there's no one necessarily who's going to draw that, besides being like, this is bad. No one's going to say, oh, this is on the side of the Francis Perkins building, the transformative woman who was one of the architects of the New Deal, who is the reason we have Social Security, who desegregated the cafeteria in her office before anyone else in the Capitol, who stood up for Jewish refugees trying to flee Nazi Germany. That's that context that you lose when you don't know that history or even know that present.
Don't say that out loud. They're going to change that name. Like, as soon as they find this stuff out, it's going to become
honestly,
the General Sutherland or whatever honorary.
Not for nothing, before we move on, one of my hobby horses, like that does fit into this, is that there's just a lack of labor journalism out there. Like, not general reporting, not, oh, some guy has to write about this strike, what a bummer. There's only a handful of us, right? And so there's so many stories that aren't being told because there's 15 people, if that, who write about labor in this country on a serious basis.
That's like their beat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like I complain all the time that Philly doesn't get any attention. Philly doesn't get any respect. We had this massive citywide municipal worker strike that didn't get very much attention here, but rocked our entire city. And there's so many stories like that. Like, we can talk about the destruction of media, but the Democrats were paying, freaks $8,000 a month to tweet about how Gavin Newsom is daddy. But I'm one of the better known labor reporters in the country, I guess. I don't have a job. I've been unemployed since 2019. I'm a freelancer, there's a lot of reasons people aren't hearing these stories.
Cody, Katy, were we approached for that Democrat dark money?
Warmbo was.
Oh,
yeah, he turned it down, though.
Oh, well, good for him.
Well, he doesn't need money. He's a little monster.
And we pay for everything in his life.
Exactly.
So,
we were not approached by that organization. So,
well, it feels like it's time to transition to more bad news. There was another mass shooting this week in Minneapolis, and we're going to get into some of the specifics here, but just it's a horror. It's a horror show, this country, what we're allowing to happen. Just the fact that gun control hasn't even been uttered out of the mouths of our elected politicians in the last election cycle for a long time. I honestly can't even remember when that was the conversation. And once again, babies are dead.
When was the last one where it was even a part of the discussion?
Parkland?
Or like Parkland, maybe? Yeah,
Parkland.
Where that was like, please, like, please, anything. But ever since then, I just don't, you don't even see anybody even bring that issue up.
And then everything moves so quickly. We have a moment of collective outrage, finger pointing, finger blaming, and meanwhile, these kids that survive even are left with a lifetime of haunting memories. The text threads that I've seen shared of mom groups checking in and saying my neighbor's son was shot. It's so I honestly can't even wrap my mind around it. But Jonathan, why don't we walk through some of the specifics here?
Yeah, so the shooting yesterday, 2 children are dead and 17 people, children and adults, are injured. The shooting was during morning mass at Annuncion Catholic School in Minneapolis. The shooter reportedly had a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol and fired all 3 weapons through a window from the outside.
Were they in mass?
Sorry?
Was it during mass?
Yes.
Their service? Yeah.
And then apparently took their own life. The conversation's not about guns, obviously.
Nope.
The conversation, at least in the right-wing sphere, and as a result, the mainstream media, is about this shooter's identity and possible gender identity. Multiple outlets confirmed that the shooter, who was 23 at the time of their death, filed for a name change in early 2020, and that they identified, at least at the time, as a trans woman. That shooter also had a bunch of racist things written on gun magazines, anti-black things, anti-Latino, anti-Semitic, and things like "Kill Trump," 6 million wasn't enough, Waco, McVeigh, things like that. And then there's also
whole
this
grab bag of gross.
Yes, a grab bag of everything. And then there was an emblem on the guns, and this has not kind of made it to the mainstream media yet, but there's enough of a discussion about it and enough evidence that I think it's worth bringing up. An emblem that potentially references this online neo-Nazi nihilism movement called 764 or 09A, and it's kind of a nothing matters, everything's fucked, and there's this lionization of mass shooters. This person also clearly idolized mass shooters and mass terrorists. But of course, all you're going to hear if you go on Fox News or on Twitter is see that, it's clearly that being trans makes you violent, is the message.
Yeah, that's the
and
claim.
just the blatant misinformation circulating of how all of these mass shootings are done by trans people, when that is blatantly false.
Oh, it's lies.
That is
It's
blatantly
lies.
false. The vast majority are, of course, cis white men. This is a sickness that is spreading, that is contagious in our country, made even more apparent by our incredibly easy access to weapons that have no business being in just a regular citizen's hands. And so, of course, this just obfuscates the actual conversation, which is, what are we going to do about it? How do we fix this? If people are having mental health crises, how are we reaching out to them? What is the quality of life? What are the different circumstances that are leading somebody to have this break? We're not touching any of these conversations. Sorry, I'll allow someone else to talk.
Yeah, we don't like having any real conversation about it. And so, of course, yeah, all these outlets are just going to jump on this. I'm sure we'll get more and more information about this person, who we won't really be discussing specifically, generally, because, again, the common thread is this sort of like weird, like, nihilist kind of neo-Nazi soup of ideologies. You're taking all this sort of stuff, you're kind of getting you're getting cooked by the internet and like on Telegram, and all these alleged, you know, again, we're not sure of this specific case, but like these groups who are like trying to like influence young people into doing things like this. They clearly had an affinity for mass shooters. That's the type of person we're talking about. It's not like, oh, well, they were trans. There are right-wing trans people. There are left-wing trans people. It's not, the identity is not the thing. We've seen in recent years all these people who are not white, but they are also clearly like neo-Nazis.
Right.
That's
You don't have to be white to be a neo-Nazi.
Even today, we're talking about how little is actually understood and known about the folks who are just in this soup. The O9A, Order of the Nine Angles, which is like an established like satanic neo-Nazi kind of complicated thing. It's O9A is kind of a big, ugly rabbit hole itself. But apparently that person, like the account that people were using, assuming that it was the shooter, is still posting today. So maybe there isn't even a satanic aspect to it, which is, yeah, good news for the goths, I suppose. But in general, it's like, this is such a mental health crisis. Like you're saying, the people who are like depressed or confused or alienated, like people are having problems looking for companionship, looking for community, find their way in these online spaces where mass shooters are venerated as saints. I think they had a Bauer written on their pieces too. Like people
they're a bunch.
Yeah, it's a mix of this sort of like irony pilled, black pilled, nihilistic, fuck everyone, anti-human, anti-life, anti-everything sort of mentality. Everything's terrible. I hate myself. Why not go out into a horrible blaze of glory? Like I don't know who exactly should be keeping an eye on these spaces. I do not necessarily want to volunteer. I am not equipped. And clearly the government is not someone we could trust in any way, shape, or form for anything, but especially not that, because how many of them are fans of what's going on? But it really is a poorly understood and deeply malignant, almost subculture. And it's so much of it ties back to mental health and the lack of access to care and lack of community and lack of empathy and just hopelessness that people feel. And so they reach out and they lash out and they end up doing these unthinkable, horrific things because they just either don't care anymore or like just life has no meaning to them. And that's not how it should be.
No, it's not. And I do think this deserves serious study, research onto what's happening to our brains. I think with all the inputs we're getting, with access to information online, to different, propaganda, et cetera. And yes, the mental health crisis, that is obvious. Not even just manifesting as someone shooting up a school, but in general, people are struggling. So there's that. But yeah, I don't fully understand it. There's something about wanting your pain to be seen widely, wanting it to be very visible and impossible to ignore. I don't know. There were some screenshots circulating from this shooter's note to their family. And it's so disturbing because there seems to be an awareness of how wrong this was and how bad it was going to affect their family, and saying, I'm sorry if you need to change your names. I've been struggling. For a long time, I've been having these thoughts for a long time. And there's some amount of, it's chilling. It's truly, there I go using that word. Every week I use that word, but it is. And I don't share that to give any ounce of sympathy, but to say it is so complicated and so dark and painful, and we have got to do something about this.
There are millions of alternative things to do than what this person did. I know.
I mean, that honestly pisses me off, to have the awareness that these are the wrong thoughts to be having, but to do it anyway is beyond me to understand, to comprehend.
I think there's just like any way to avoid talking about what this is really about is the pathway that we as a society take. J.D. Vance yesterday kind of just spent the day arguing on Twitter with people who were calling him out for doing a thoughts and prayers tweet, right? He's first, we're monitoring the situation, join us in praying for the victims. So of course people are like, well, what do you gonna do about it? What is And he decided to dig in because he's just an online troll. That's his job. And he wrote, "It is shocking to me that so many left-wing politicians," I don't know any politicians who are calling him out, but anyway, "It is shocking to me that so many left-wing politicians attack the idea of prayer in response to a tragedy. Literally, no one thinks prayer is a substitute for action. We pray because our hearts are broken and we believe that God is listening." Okay.
They were praying when they got shot.
They were praying when they got shot.
Yeah. No one's saying that you can't pray. We're saying prayer is not a substitute for action, which you just said back to us. What's the action?
Right.
Nothing. The action is to attack a group of people.
No, the prayer, the prayer is doing, and I'm not trying to diss anybody that if this is what your practices are for praying, but I think for the most part, a prayer is an individual thing that brings you comfort, that gives you guidance. And I'm all about you doing that for you. Tell me what we're going to do for us. Tell me what we're going to do for the country.
Well, right. And no one's like, and he's just he's so dishonest and he knows it. But yeah, he's made the argument for everybody by saying, yeah, prayer's not a substitute for action. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to tweet about this a little more.
About how prayer's not a substitute for action. Right.
And also no one's saying like, people, anybody can't pray or send thoughts and prayers, but you are the vice president. You are a politician. That is who we're talking about. Also, stuff like this, and he does it too. It's similar to when people say like, wow, God really was watching in Butler that day. God guided that bullet and saved Donald Trump's life. Well, but then the other guy died. So what do you mean? What is this God who's this God you're praying to and talking to and thanking for guiding the bullet over here? It's just a horrific thing. And of course, Vance needs to make it about how he's right about everything.
Just doing some adult Catholic convert nonsense. Like it's
exactly.
About me. It's about me.
So there's that. And then also, I don't even want to get into this too much because it's just so dishonest and gross. And Katie, you alluded to it, where all these people sharing these memes of like, look at all the trans shooters, look at all this and this pattern. And you see, I kind of don't even want to like say this out loud, but the fucking New York Post, their headline, just big letters, demonic, and then transgender maniac shoots up Catholic school morning mass, killing 2 kids. Like they know exactly what they're doing. It's so fucking gross. And I maybe we'll bleep it, honestly. I just reject this whole conversation wholeheartedly. You already see the Matt Walshes of the world, the Michael Knowleses of the world. Jesse Waters did a monologue about it. Scott Jennings did, like, CNN and Fox News have these people on talking about how, like, now we need to talk. Finally, we can talk about the transgender problem, and that's all they've wanted to do for so long. They've just needed to it's not about. It's not about sports. It's just about this. And their project, they get a boost for it, and that's how they're treating it, and it's just really.
I don't think
really,
you need to bleep that. I think it's valid.
Oh, just it's such a smokescreen. It's just so. And I saw earlier today, like libs of TikTok had some graphic, like like listing some shooters and saying, alleging whatever, saying this person was trans, this person gender fluid. Okay, there's like a couple people. And then if you would like to look into the statistics for all the other ones, like it's like trans folks are like 0.8% of the population, one of the most demonized, one of the most like just hunted down vulnerable populations we have that are under increasing attack from the entire weight of the federal government. And now they're having to shoulder this new wave of scrutiny, this new like burden. And it's just so like, obviously, like, it's fucked up, it's unfair. It just makes me so mad. It's like, that's the last thing any of my friends need to deal with right now. I just took one of my girlfriends who's a trans girl to, like, go buy her first gun because this world is not safe for her and for so many other people in her position.
And all these people are making it clear now. Like, we're going to go after every trans person in the country.
That is a very interesting and important other conversation to have, which is how do we keep them safe?
Fuck it. Honestly, like, armed trans women, I'll teach y'all how to shoot. Like, it's this country is is very good at going after vulnerable minorities and trying to crush them into dust. It has a lot of experience, has a deep history of doing just that. And it's been enacting this kind of slow-moving attempted genocide on the trans population for years, and it's really heightening. And now they're grasping onto this truly horrific situation where, like, babies were killed, entire families and communities were torn apart, and they're using it to further this agenda that harms a couple million people out of this enormous country of suffering. And it's just so disgusting. And I feel like anybody who isn't a proudly identified like MAGA freak, like MSNBC heads or regular liberals who are just asking questions, they should never sleep another wink in their goddamn lives. Like, I'm just so angry that these folks have to put up with this more shit every day, and they're just trying to goddamn live.
And people like Matt Walsh always think, well, now's the time to drop the pretense. He tweeted something like, now there can no longer be any doubt that no doctor can help any adult or child transition. By the way, we have no idea if this shooter saw a doctor or went through any medical transit, like that. We have no idea about any of that stuff. But anyway, Matt Walsh,
as if that's what did it.
Right.
Sorry.
But
Go ahead.
he's taking this opportunity to do that. The same people who say, how dare you politicize a shooting so soon, are using it to do their evil pet project of eliminating transgenderism, as Michael Knowles said. Like, They're going to take this thing. They know it has nothing to do it, or maybe they've convinced themselves, but it's just on an evil project, and they said, okay, this is going to enable us to ratchet it up to the next level.
Yeah, they did it in seconds. In seconds they did it. They're like instantly. All you need to do is look. I mean, Michael Knowles is a good example who has been saying it for a long time. We need to get rid of he doesn't say trans people, he says trans ideology. Well, what does that mean? What is the end result of that? All you gotta do though is look at the fucking bellwether, all these fucking freaks and their lies. Chris Rufo tweeted about it, I believe yesterday. We should now put to rest the libertarian delusion that transgenderism is a matter of personal choice or live and let live. It's an ideology that has done grave damage to millions of Americans and has unleashed a nihilistic wave of violence on our society. Enough. That's very interesting because he knows really what's going on. He used the word that is the actual thing going on, but he's just mapping it onto trans people generally because of this one incident. And
so he said libertarian?
It's so obvious. He's just pushing back on other libertarians out there because there are a lot of libertarians who are like, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Right. So he's talking to people he thinks he can bring into his project of getting rid of all of these people and using that as a mask to be like, actually, this nihilistic wave of violence suddenly popped up very suddenly with these trans people. Like, I think you are making things up and not paying attention until this exact moment.
Also,
it's so obvious
that's
and dishonest.
Ignoring decades at this point.
We've talked about this aspect of these mass shootings for years and years and years.
For years and years.
It ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's about something else. Sometimes they're manifested as whatever. Sometimes it's.
Well, when we were in college is when it started with the incel community targeting women. Those were the first times I remember mass shootings. And then throughout my 20s, it's ramping up in 20s and 30s. And now we've got 20 years of data here. It's not something new, but it has increased in frequency.
And it's so dishonest because also these same people will share very specific images of this shooter's guns with very specific messages that align with what they want to paint this person as. When, as we've already discussed, it's all over the place. There's nothing coherent about this beyond this sort of like nihilistic soup that we've been talking about. And maybe we'll learn more and more and more. But like, if you share images of all of those words, then you can't push your agenda that they're trying to do. If you're sharing like it said kill Donald Trump and it said this, well, what else did it say? Contradictory things
that are like very like Joker pilled, like I'm I believe
they had
it's like
a representation of that Loss webcomic. Some people, you might not even know what I'm talking about, but if you know the Loss webcomic from like 20 years ago, there's a representation of that on one of these. It's just
the Trollolo guy is in there, I think. Like it's
toxic brain rot.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
weird nihilistics. And a lot of these shooters are pretty young. It's like this whole generation that's been left completely unmoored. And I remember I was like too little, but I remember like when Columbine kind of kickstarted, I think, the public consciousness of mass shootings. And
I guess, yes, Columbine was the
That was
first
the-
one.
and they've gotten, it's not to be like the internet's bad, but one might say that there has been an uptick in these horrific incidents as alienation and inequality and the lack of access to healthcare and community and anything worth living for in this goddamn country, combined with incredible amounts of screen exposure and all the worst possible parts of the internet being accessible to everyone, it seems like maybe there's some correlations that have nothing to do with how someone would like to identify as a human. It seems like there's bigger broken problems out there. But those are hard to fix. They require money. They require the government to do things. They require people to admit they were wrong.
Us all to take it seriously.
I'll just say living is good and killing is bad. And there are a lot of great things out in the world that everybody should be sharing in. And this isn't one of them. And it's just a tragedy. There's a reason we aren't saying this person's name and we don't say these people's names. And venerating anybody who does this kind of thing is so disgusting and sad. And it's better things out there. And what's in the news?
Rick Perry, watch him. He's a summer of cinema. That's right. The summer of cinema keeps on chugling along. When will it end? Who can say? You'll never want it to end, though, with some of these hot action titles they've got over on Pluto TV. Movies you know and love, like Gladiator, Beverly Hills Cop, Tamagotchi Death Squad, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, The Ancient Manticore Assassins, Good Burger, McGruff Opens the Trench Coat, rated NC-17, Plug and Play with Kid and Play, Shazam, the Sinbad Genie movie they finally just ended up making, Four Brothers, Star Trek, Tar Shrek, Stranger Things, The College Years, a prequel, Bulletproof Giraffe, Tango and Cash 2, It Takes Two to Cash and Tango, and Stealth. Bring the action with you and stream for free on all of your favorite devices. Pluto TV, stream now, pay never. Four Brothers.
This ad is brought to you by Vive Healthcare, the makers of Apretude, cabotegravir. You never skip your SPF, and you carry hand sanitizer like an accessory. But what are you doing for HIV prevention? One way to help protect yourself from HIV is Apretude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of getting HIV in adults and adolescents weighing at least 77 pounds. You must be HIV negative to receive Apretude and get tested before each injection. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apretude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apretude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apretude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction. Bring your A game and talk to your doctor. Learn more at apretude.com or call 1-888-240-0340.
Speaking of the government should want to do good things and be competent when they do them, the Department of Health and Human Services. So last night or Wednesday night, the Washington Post published this exclusive story that that HHS had fired CDC director Susan Menarez. She had refused to sign off on some of the new COVID vaccine guidance, which was that the FDA and RFK say, okay, the new COVID booster is good for people over 65, or if you have an underlying health issue. And otherwise, we'll leave it up to you and your doctors, but maybe not. Maybe insurance won't cover it. Maybe if they...
Very clear, concise messaging.
Who has a doctor?
It's not exactly.
Yeah, right? I was like, what is
So
world do you
flu
live in?
shot rules are out the window.
Right. You're not going to be able to just go to CVS, which you can right now, and get last year's COVID booster, which is going to be kind of the same thing. But no, I think diagnoses of asthma are about to go up 800% because that will be able to get you the COVID shot. At any rate, she refused to sign off on this. So they were like, well, resign or be fired. And then she was like, I'm not going to resign. And there's some dispute about whether she's been fired or not because she says I was appointed and approved by the Senate. Only the president can fire me. That's ongoing. And then after that, a bunch of other people, high-profile CDC officials resigned in protest. The chief medical officer, the head of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases.
I mean, I think that I
know.
probably would want to if I was in their position, but I also desperately don't want you to leave.
It is
No, make them fire you.
such a
Right?
difficult position to be in, and I understand this sort of like Spartacus thing they
Right.
want to do, but you're all we've got. Like what? Like who?
We
like
need you there.
just imagine you're gonna be replaced by like Dana White or something. Like what are you doing? Don't go. Chris Rufo's gonna take your spot.
Just stay there and
but-
do sabotage.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
try to do good stuff. Well, they won't let you do good stuff. Make it hard for them to do bad stuff.
But I do understand and can appreciate this sort of like this idea of like, well, if we're going to resign in solidarity or like bring attention to this but all you're doing is whittling down these institutions even more, which is what they want to do. If Doge could have fired these people, they would have instantly.
Doge, who put all of our social security numbers on an unsecured
Oh, right. We're not
server.
even like getting
No.
to that
I'm not
today.
even
That
touching
big
it.
balls
I'm
under
just
investigation.
saying
Tossed
we're
everyone's
aware of
SSN
it.
on-
Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway,
It's so weird because Susan Menarez, the maybe former CDC director, was just appointed by Trump in April, and I think as part of a deal with Senators Bill Cassidy and Susan Collins, where they were like, hey, we care about vaccines and public health, so we'll like kind of let you run stuff if you put someone who's qualified and who's a government scientist and believes in science in charge of the CDC. And I have not even seen strongly worded statements from them now that a couple months later she's been fired and is going to be replaced, the Chaya chick or whoever.
Take
the
your
hell.
pick. Yeah.
Can we play this clip of RFK Jr. just a few hours before all this news broke? Because
I don't want to hear him talk.
but we
Yes,
must.
we can play it.
We must hear
I
him
know.
talk because this is the kind of stuff that the person running the show says.
And I know what a healthy child is supposed to look like. I'm looking at kids as I walk through the airports today, as I walk down the street, and I see these kids that are just overburdened with mitochondrial challenges, with inflammation. You can tell from their faces, from their body movements, and from their lack of social connection. And I know that that's not how our children are supposed to look.
He's just staring at kids and diagnosing them with mitochondrial what?
Mitochondrial challenges. You know when you're at the airport and you're looking at children who might have been on a flight or something, and because of the way they look, like a kid, you think they have mitochondrial challenges and inflammation and a lack of social connection. What the hell?
The words you're saying make sense to me, but your tone makes it sound like I'm the weird one. Do you not do that? Yeah, this is absurd. What an absurd, weird man. And his conclusion is vaccines, right?
What's alarming to me, here comes another mountain anecdote. I'm not sure how people are feeling about Donald Trump. I've had plenty of conversations where people are like, I don't know. But at the next breath, they'll be like, but RFK Jr. really has a good mission to clean up our food. And you're like, no, I'm not going to say he's more terrifying than Trump, but he is as terrifying. And the work that he is doing stands to set us back for generations to really fuck with us. And that is terrifying to me that people just seem to gobble up the actual crud that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, it's very it's alarming because I've also seen reference on my favorite podcast. What is Bill Maher's stupid podcast called?
Club Random.
Doesn't matter.
Club Random. Thank you. My favorite podcast, Club Random with Bill Maher. Chris Pratt was on it, and he was talking about RFK because he's related to that family now. And
right.
he was talking about how, like, I just don't get it. I don't get, like, why you can't just, like, hand it to him when, like, he's getting, I understand, like, politics and you disagree with this, but, like, he's also getting rid of this in our foods. And it's like, why can't you just, like, praise him for that? Like, that's good, right? And first of all, I don't think that, like, getting rid of, like, the dye in Skittles is, like, making us, like, that much healthier. But surely a person can understand that and I'm going to use an extreme example right now, a really extreme example, and I'm not making, this isn't a one-to-one, really extreme example. Imagine Hitler. And Hitler gets rid of some, like, chemicals in your food that, like, maybe you don't trust. But he also does, like, all this other bad stuff. You're not going to hand it to Hitler because you know that you're just softening, unless you're a Nazi, because you know you're going to soften his image and say, well, he does some good stuff. I disagree with him on some things. That's the point of not handing it to RFK for some of this healthy food stuff, because he's also going out there talking about mitochondrial challenges and going on Fox and saying, earlier today, he went on Fox and Friends and was complaining about how the CDC includes vaccines on its website as one of the 10 greatest advances in medical science. Are they not? Excuse me?
Right.
No,
and
he
so
doesn't believe that.
In conjunction with that, I don't think we need to praise him for getting rid of some stuff in Skittles.
Well, also, he's replacing it with beef tallow. Like,
Right.
like, the stuff is going to get, like,
Dyed beef
there is
tallow.
an open competition in this administration to see who can ultimately be responsible for the most deaths, right? I think Elon with the USAID stuff is probably in the lead, right? But, like, RFK is going to catch up. This stuff is going to result in people dying. It will not make America healthy.
Yeah.
He was in Texas for the signing of Texas's Make America Healthy Again legislation, which was like, we're going to require that kids learn about nutrition in K through 12. They do? We do that?
They do.
I mean, we did the food pyramid
Isn't
in the
that
80s,
like
but,
Michelle Obama style communism or something?
The thing that kills me, besides the fact that he's trying to kill me, actually, is that even all of these sort of hard quotes accomplishments that this Make America Healthy situation that he's on about have notched don't fucking matter. How many Skittles are you eating? You're not 5. Like, oh, he's gonna make Coke change its formula a little bit. Okay, like, Kim, there's people who are dying. Like, that's your big focus. If you actually cared about making this country healthier, what about health care, perhaps being something we invest in? Or if you really want to get spicy, go head to head with the corn lobby. Do we need corn syrup and everything? Probably not. I haven't heard him say a goddamn thing about that. Like, there are so many actual challenges and problems in this country around food insecurity, around a lack of access to healthy, good food. He's not giving millions of dollars to urban farms like the one my husband works at. He's not investing in these kind of Zoran-style community grocery stores. No, he's doing push-ups in his jeans and trying to, like, take away people's actual access to what little bits of healthcare scraps we're allowed to have in this country. And I think there's an aspect of this that kind of ties into this broader fucked up kind of, I don't want to say toxic masculinity, just because that's kind of turned into a nothing phrase, but there is this undercurrent of masculinity to all these things that he and people who are part of this kind of trad wife sort of neo-trad lifestyle that they're trying to push people into. He's doing push-ups. He's talking about beef tallow because cow fat is for men and seed oils are for girls. So we're going to invest in that. Like, sugar and sweets are for wimps. We're going to feed everyone push-ups. Like, they're trying, it really kind of factors into this ethno-nationalist project that they're part of. They want Americans to be healthy, but they want them to be a very specific type. Like, there's a reason that the Department of whatever the fuck real fake name there is for the, the ICE department is tweeting photos of these Aryan white dudes, classic like Nazi Germany era propaganda saying like we're going to take our country back. Who's we? People that don't fit into this specific ideal do not matter to them. And this is very clear through the policy of this administration, and even just clear through his signaling on social media. Him, Pete Hegseth, JD Vance can't do it because he's a fucking twerp. But there is this kind of like violent masculinity that's underpinning so much of this. Or this violent idea of masculinity, because a real man
100%.
cares about people. A real man doesn't want to do the things that these twisted little freaks are doing.
They're also tying, and they've done it for a while. Obviously, like it's not a new concept, but tying physical ability, physical strength, these little tests to their value and worth as like leaders and thinkers. People might have seen Zoran Mamdani do a bench press. And then you see like Cuomo and all these people being like, he can't even bench his own weight. How can he bear the weight of being a mayor and stuff? And like that is part of what you're talking about. We're like, well, because I'm physically this way, that means I am worth more. I'm more capable. It's denigrating, anyone with a disability and all kinds of people, and tying physical strength to moral worth, which is just fascism. And it's really, really, really gross. And I agree with you completely.
It just dehumanizes people that don't fit that ideal and makes it easier to say that they're expendable, that they're disposable, that they don't matter. So why bother investing in them because they're not good enough anyway? Which leads to, again, more fascism.
At least so, like, all this is bad, but they're still doing science. RFK is still doing science. He's still doing studies. He announced that he was going to solve autism and figure out what causes autism months ago. And he called his shot and said in September. And we got an update about that recently at that cabinet meeting where the Secretary of Labor was like, "You're so beautiful, Mr. President. You're so beautiful." Trump said, "The autism is such a tremendous horror show. How are you doing on that?" So we love our president. RFK responded, we love his language, man. And RFK said, "We're finding certain interventions now that are almost certainly causing autism. We're going to be able to address those in September." So they're still on track to reveal the thing they've always wanted to reveal, the thing that they planned on doing, the thing that they have all ready to go, which is that vaccines cause autism. So get ready for that report.
I'm getting ready. Also, just to say, there's nothing wrong with being autistic. Jonathan, what did you have?
Yeah.
RFK was also on Fox and Friends Thursday morning, and Brian Kilmeade asked if there's something about gender transition drugs that make people homicidal and suicidal. And I guess to his credit, he didn't answer that, but not to his credit. He was like, well, we're doing studies on SSRIs and other psychiatric medications.
Fantastic.
And there's potential contributions there. So
Medications that everybody
tight,
responds
folks.
to differently.
everything they don't like is gonna make you kill people.
An entire country of unmedicated Americans is the scariest thing I can
It really
possibly
is.
conceive of.
I can't believe Kilmeade asked that.
Iced coffee and Prozac
Yes, you
are the
can
only things
believe it.
holding this place together.
I can believe
Okay.
it.
One more quick, well, not quick, but let's see how we do. Speaking of this administration firing their enemies or people they didn't disagree with or people that don't want to do exactly what they want to do, even if it's the wrong thing to do. What's going on with the Fed governor, Jonathan?
Oh,
J-Dog?
I thought you were going to say Cracker Barrel.
Oh, we could do that too.
We don't have to.
That would be more time effective.
I can leave them together. It's both of them. The global economy.
Jonathan's-
It's both culture war nonsense,
Jonathan is a marvel. He can definitely weave them
I'm
together.
sure I can keep this together. So you
I
guys
just-
know
by the
Sydney
time
Sweeney,
next
right? Let me
week-
put this in Sydney Sweeney terms. So Trump is trying to fire one of the governors or a person on the board of governors of the Federal Reserve, Lisa Cook.
Which he's not supposed to be firing.
supposed to
Well,
be
there's no
from.
sense
Okay.
that he can do that. That's illegal, Mr. President, right? That's the name of this show. But
How's
we
he gonna
also
wiggle out of this
remember
one?
We also remember that the Supreme Court in May, in a ruling where they were like, the president can fire anyone, they were like, not in terms of the Federal Reserve, since that is, quote, a uniquely structured quasi-private entity that follows in the distinct historical tradition of the first and second banks of the United States, by which they meant you can do whatever you want, but don't touch the money, sir. Don't touch the money. Well, now he's touching the money because the guy...
He loves to touch money, get his greasy little fingies all over.
Because the guy he has in charge of the Federal Housing Finance Agency is a guy, Bill Pulte, who's the grandson of this guy, William Pulte, who started one of the biggest real estate development companies. And he has charged that guy with going through his political enemies' mortgages and looking for any malfeasance. And that is why Lisa Cook and Adam Schiff and Letitia James have all been accused by the Trump administration of like, mortgage fraud.
As if, I think I've said this on the show, I'm going to say it again. As if Donald Trump gives a fuck about mortgage fraud. Please. Anyway.
He was found to have defrauded investors by lying about his real estate value. Anyway, so now she's suing. It's unclear.
All that's public information, though, so it's fine that he's doing it, right?
Right. Trump claimed during the cabinet meeting where everyone was licking him.
Falsely claimed.
He claimed that, well, this is public. This is what you guys, the journalists, Kim, you should pay attention to this. The journalists should be looking up the mortgage fraud that Adam Schiff and company are doing. But that's not true. This isn't public information. It's in the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which he's weaponizing to do this. And all of this comes right on the heels of Cracker Barrel changing back their logo.
He fucking did it.
Which, because this is all about this is about how we're not paying attention to what really matters. And Cracker Barrel has decided to put back their old timer logo. An old timer like
he put the
Donald
cracker
Trump,
and the barrel back
who
on.
is accusing people of mortgage fraud. As you can see, it all weaves together. I do the weave. It's brilliant. People say it's brilliant how you did that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they're still not satisfied, though. They're still not happy that Cracker Barrel put back its logo because they want the CEO fired because she's a woman and is DEI or something.
And Steak and Shake wants to
Jonathan
own it.
Yeah,
that was beautifully done.
Oh, thanks.
Steak and
I'm sure that
Shake wants
made...
it now.
You did it. You wove it.
Does anyone have things to say about any of that?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to decide which part I want to react to and how eloquent I can possibly be. It's all bullshit. This is a man hell-bent on just throwing all the rules out the window and firing anybody he wants, even if he can't. He wants to lower interest rates, and people are resistant to that still for good reason. It's one of the few mechanisms we have to control the economy, and you do that too soon and inflation's still going up. It will cause inflation to go up. I'm not saying that there won't be a time that's right to lower interest rates, and when they do, I'll be happy. That's cool. But not when it's too soon. We haven't even seen the effects of these tariffs. We don't know what's happening. What we do know is that corporations have absorbed some of these extra costs from the tariffs and as such have laid off large swaths of people.
Costs to things that are going up, like crackers, barrels, any number of different
all kinds of stuff.
Things.
Logos.
No, they're gonna cut the
expensive.
rate next month, probably by like a quarter point or whatever it is, to try and combat the slow growth, but that's bad because of inflation. It's a whole mess, this economy.
It's okay. He can
Stupid.
do whatever he wants. He's the president. He said so. I guess we should update. We talked about how he's like, many people are saying that we should have a dictator. He just said out loud, I have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. So confirmed, that's his opinion. So he'll just do whatever he wants. And people will quit in protest, and then he'll be able to do even more what he wants.
Where are the money guys? He's okay. So I'm not, this is not my forte. I did, prior to we start recording, I had to ask you what this whole Fed thing was. Still don't quite get it. Doesn't seem like it's much of my business. But which is on me. Also, I do not care if a couple people in Congress are getting bullied by Donald Trump. That's fine. If he's busy with that, whatever. But I do care about normal people having a hard time affording to live and eat things. And I know that when the government messes with the money, it becomes harder. I know the economy is not in a good spot because I have to buy groceries, so I can tell. One of the things...
Can't be doing that. Can't be buying
Yeah,
groceries.
the groceries. Oh, there's a new
Then you'll
Aldi
know.
open in South Philly. Thank God. But but I think the pieces of sort of common wisdom that we've seen throughout these Trump eras is that, okay, well, the money guys, the Wall Street guys, he's not going to risk pissing them off. He's not going to risk the money thing because that's how he gets so much of his support, him making it easier for businesses to profit. And obviously, as we've seen the fallout from these tariffs, as we've seen this kind of economic nosedive impacting people, the money guys seem like perhaps they're less happy with what he's up to. Is that an accurate reading? And if that's accurate, why are they letting him do this?
Yeah.
Like,
It's too late.
if
They
the
already
money
got
guys
in
are
there.
charged, why
Right.
can president do this?
Well, they can say the R word now, so they're fine. They're fine with it. They're
Yeah,
happy.
I wonder how that top banker is feeling now that he can say those things again.
But everything else is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
One would think
Liberated.
there would be a place where it would get bad enough to where the money guys on Wall Street and the CEOs would say, we got to do something about this Donald Trump. He's demanding we switch out our ingredients. He's demanding we fire our CEOs. He could come after us at any minute, and he's making everything more expensive and making everyone hate us. You'd think at some point the Wall Street guys would be like, we're done, which makes it a lot easier for Congress to say, we're done. But
Yeah, what's
but
that tipping
But
that has
they
not
can
happened.
say that they're done. He'll still be the president.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is like he's at 38% approval. He's like unpopular and everyone's still kind of bowing to him in many circles. But there would come a point if it was like Bush 2's numbers around 2007, 2008, if he gets to like 30%, 29%, and the money guys are losing money and people who, you know, some of the less intense MAGA people even started to leave, then the bottom would fall out and Congress would suddenly start to care about all these crimes.
I would hope that would happen. I hope that starts to happen. I expect it to, but
No,
I
I'm weaving a
also-
fantasy right here. I don't think
Yes,
that's gonna
but
happen.
I to some degree, maybe not everybody, but I think that we are. It's been 8 years in the span of 8 months, but literally it's been 8 months, and I think that people are still uncertain how things will play out and how I think people are hedging bets right now. Some of them, I don't know. That's what I think.
Oh, like Tim Apple is hedging his bet, right? Like he's
Oh,
still
yeah.
being nice, and
If I
If
give
you're
you
like, I don't know,
gold
we've also
black,
got-
then yeah.
3.5 more years left of this man, or
Do we?
JD Vance, if that bruise comes to fruition, if that bruise spreads all the way up to his brain. But I don't know. I think that there's just a lot of people that want to stay in good graces.
Yeah.
can
You don't want to make him mad.
Anyway.
He tweeted change your logo, and 4 hours later they did. Everyone's just terrified of the guy who says, I can do what I want. I'm the president. I'm going to send the National Guard to Chicago. Like, that is just...
So I want to blur the handle and avatar of this guy because I don't want to just like single out some weird MAGA person on here. But as I was looking at Cracker Barrel stuff, I found this tweet. It's a quote tweet of the AI slop with Sydney Sweeney wearing a Cracker Barrel shirt. So there's some slop
Oh,
here.
no.
And he goes at Cracker Barrel, get rid of all your CEO and woke boards bullshit, microwaves and DEI hires, and start cooking your food on site. Train your servers to care about your customers and make Cracker Barrel great again. Or don't and be like the fig tree Christ cursed prayer hands. And I just got like into this guy, and his bio is, I am here to get the most current news. If I make a few friends along the way, praise God. I am a happily married. I'm not looking for hookups. which
Awesome.
really tickled me because Just as I was trying
married.
to figure out why DEI is behind them using microwaves instead of cooking their food on site, I got into him and him
then he
trying to
drops
meet
that,
people
yeah.
on,
But not.
trying to meet people. Don't try to hook up with this guy on Twitter.
I'm looking
which
for
is where-
I'm looking
I'm
for
married.
friends. I'm looking for friends. I'm the opposite of a reality star. I'm here to make friends.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a bit more about your book, though.
The kids book. That's right. It came out in May. It's my first book, Fight Like Hell: The Untold History of American Labor. Came out in 2022, and it was almost as a bit. I think I just tweeted into the void one day, kind of before Twitter became super horrible. It's like, what if I wrote a kids version? And the response was such that I basically gave myself homework, and I texted my agent. It was like, what if I did a kids book? And various things happened, and then I did a kids book. And it's for, I guess, ages 8 to 14. I think it's kind of a broad spectrum, depending how nerdy your kid is. At 8, I would have picked it up. But it focuses more on specific people from Fight Like Hell. So it's kind of a collection of just short, like, easily digestible kind of biographies with some context woven in, some of, I think, the most interesting people. And I threw in some new ones just to mix it up.
That's rad.
And some more recent people. And yeah, it's been out for a little while. And you can buy it anywhere that books are, or from my website, or get it from the library. And I'm working on my next book now.
Well, we're going to have you back to talk about that one, too.
Oh, yeah, that was
you
weird.
guys should definitely check out that book. And not to alarm anyone, the holidays are coming. Sounds like a good gift for a little one in your life.
Wow.
Get them young.
Isn't that wild? They are. It's just a few months away.
Just a few months away is not the holidays are coming up.
The holidays
it is
are
almost
definitely
September.
coming. And if you're someone like me who enjoys giving gifts, you start thinking about it in September.
I should be
You
more
know.
aware of the holidays. coming.
You always forget about presents until after the new year.
That's not true.
That's not
After
true.
the
I
new
was
year, that's
exaggerating.
absurd.
Kim, also, are you still tweeting? Where can our listeners find you?
You blueskin?
Blueski?
Blue Sky is so fucking annoying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. I think it's just my name. And I do Twitter. I post a lot on Instagram too. They're all completely
Ooh, I'm
different
gonna follow you on
handles.
Instagram.
Yeah, I'm more fun there because people can't talk to me so much.
There it is,
I have a little
exactly.
TikTok.
That's the benefit of Instagram.
I've invested in all of the social media things, even TikTok. I'm not very good at it, but it's, I don't know, we got to do something. Nobody reads anymore, so your girls got to evolve. But yeah, I'm around. I made myself a website, like a real one,
Ooh.
kim-kelly.com, because there are other more famous Kim Kellys that beat me to it, weirdly.
I've never
It's
heard
not
of any
just
of them.
Busy
Just
Phillips. There's a Canadian curler. There was a former porn actress. There's a country singer. There's a realtor. I've looked into this, but I think I'm winning the Google result right now. So
That feels like a perfect spot to end this show. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening, for supporting us. Sometimes I do this end bit a little bit more sincerely, but sincerely feel it in my heart today. I'm super grateful for everybody that watches this and supports our show, for this little community. Makes me feel more sane. So I appreciate you, and we love you very much.
Much. I agree with you completely.